astute chemists, one of them, both equally good, but the one who dared to think out of the box was Werner, as a result of which he was able to give a perfect solution, a totally different solution, which was not in line with what was being thought of in the earlier days. And he proposed the theory wherein he talked about these compounds having two types of valencies, one primary valency, which is related to the oxidation state of the central metal atom, and another secondary valency, which is related to the a spatial arrangement of these ligands around the metal atom, which gives it, and which is fixed, and it is that gives you the secondary valency of it. So here cobalt has a 6 valency in each one of them. And so, and we saw these were the compounds. And how did he come to know? Because he treated them, each of these different colored compounds, he treated them with silver nitrate. And he found that varying amounts of silver chloride got precipitated out. He weighed it out and he found that it was varying as the number of ammonia was decreasing. He was finding that the amount of silver chloride being precipitated also comes down. Another thing he found was that the conductivity decreases. Conductivity decreases because the number of chloride ions which are in the outer sphere goes on reducing. So the total number of ions which are present there are reducing out. And the total previous, and these are the two types of valencies we saw. That the primary valency, which is the ionizable valency, which are satisfied by the negative ions, and equal to the oxidation state of the central metal atom. So whatever the oxidation state of the central metal atom, that gives you the primary valency. Secondary valency is that these are non-ionizable valencies, which can be satisfied by neutral or negative ions, sometimes by cationic species too. The secondary valencies equal the coordination number of the central metal atom, and this number is fixed for a metal, and the ions or the groups which are bound by the secondary linkages have spatial arrangement corresponding to different coordination number, and it can be a linear molecule, it can be a trigonal bipyramidal, a triangular, a square pyramidal, or trigonal bipyramidal, or an octahedral structure. What we saw was the octahedral structure. So he found that cobalt, he did a lot of work on this cobalt amines, and he found that cobalt has a primary valency, that is the oxidation state of 3, and exhibits secondary valency, a coordination number of 6. The secondary valencies are represented by thick lines, and the primary valency is represented by broken lines. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all 6 of them are occupied by ammonia. So the secondary valency of that is attached to the cobalt, and that will be inside the bracket, will be that of ammonia, and the primary valency will be satisfied by the 3 chloride ions, which are given by the 3 dashed lines. Cobalt, we know here has +3 oxidation state, and that is being satisfied by the 3 chloride ions, Cl, 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 which are shown here by the dashed lines. So, when it comes out, when we dissolve it in solution, it comes out when this complex is dissolved in solution, it comes out as the total number of ions that come out are CO NH3 whole 6 is 1 ion with a 3+ charge, and Cl3, that is the 3 Cl ions, the negatively charged ions, 3 Cl ions, and 1 positively charged ion with a +3 charge on it. So total number of ions that come out in solution is 4 in the case of this compound, when you have COCl3 combining with 6 ammonia. In this complex, when it was dissolved in water, it was found that the total number of ions present in the solution on dissolution was CONH3 whole 6, the thing that is under the square bracket. Sorry. The thing that is under the square bracket is the one that dissolves as one single ion and with a 3+ charge on it, because ammonia is neutral. Cobalt, the 3+3 charge of cobalt is on this whole molecule that is there, ion rather, to be cation as you call it. So this is a cation which contains the cobalt and the 6 ammonia molecules in it, and it is one single entity. So it is one single cation, and you have 4 ions, chloride ions, anions, which come in solution. So 3 plus 1, 4, 3 chloride ions and 1 cation of this cation species that is there. So total 4 ions come out, and this is how you can depict it in this way, or you depict it as this cation is under the square brackets. It is CONH3 whole 6, the coordination number. So we say the coordination number of cobalt, this complex is 6, and the Cl is all the 3 valency is being satisfied by the chloride ions which are in the outer sphere. So one way of representing it. Another complex was COCl3 5NH3. Here we find that one of the chloride has gone into the inner sphere of it. It has gone inside here, COCl NH3 whole 5. So 1 ammonia less, so 5, and the 6th secondary valency is being satisfied by this Cl. So Cl has gone inside. So now our cation consists of COCl NH3 whole 5. And what will be the charge on this cation when it dissolves in water?
+2.
+2.
Absolutely, +2. And this Cl is outside. It is 2 Cl ions. So 2 Cl ions and 1 cation. So 3. The total number of ions that are present now would be 3 in solution. So slowly we find initially it was 4. Now it has become 3. In the initial one where we had 6 ammonia here, we had 4 ions in the solution. So the conductivity was more there. When we move to this complex, the second complex, it has 3 ions in it. So the conductivity slowly decreases. Then you move on to the next one. Similarly, here you have 4 ammonia, and here the complex now. What is happening is now you have COCl2 and NH3. How many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 NH3, 2 Cl. So 4 plus 2, 6. So 6 coordinated. The coordination number still remains 6. But here we have 2 of the Cl of those 6 coordinations. 4 is by ammonia and 2 is by the chloride ions. So now here the charge on this cobalt will become as, what will be the charge on cobalt? It was initially +2. Now it has become +1. That's right. So because 2 of them have Cl ions have gone inside, which are being satisfied here. So the charge on this cation is +1, and you have 1 of these Cl is attached on the outer sphere, and this is in the outer sphere. So you have the total number of ions, 1 chloride anion and 1 COCl2 NH3 whole 4, 1 plus 1 cation. So 2 cations now. Now total ions present in the solution are 2. So from 4 it has come to 3. Now it has come to 2. So slowly the conductivity is reducing. So with the help of this, he was able to explain that why you have a decrease in conductivity and what is happening with the help of this primary and secondary valency, and the structure he helped explain, because writing it in this way does not make it clear, but when you put it in this form, then it becomes easier to understand that these are the fixed points in the space and which are being occupied. The octahedral structure is there, in which you have the 4 ammonia making a part of the parallelogram, and the 2 top apex and the axial top and the axial bottom is being occupied by the Cl ions. So it gives you an octahedral structure, and this is electrostatically attached to it as the Cl ions. Now you have the other one. So in the same way, the structures could be, here what is happening here, all 3 of them have gone inside, all 3 Cl has gone inside, and 3 is being occupied by ammonia. So it is within this molecule has become a neutral molecule. So when you dissolve in solution, this does not conduct electricity. There's no increase in electrical conductivity. When you dip this solution, this compound into water, it does not conduct. There is no change in conductivity because it has become a single unit as a neutral unit. All of it has gone in it is being occupied and fixed onto the secondary valency itself.
What is the significance of double bond?
This is not showing us a double bond. This is just trying to make you understand that the ions are. This is not really a double bond here that I'm showing. I'm showing that these are the primary valencies that are being satisfied, not this one. The primary valencies are being satisfied by the Cl ions that are present there. This is wrongly depicted here. These three are giving you the primary valency, and this total structure, the bold ones, are showing the coordination, the secondary valency. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 secondary valency. So the coordination number of this is 6. It's an octahedral structure. And the ionic, the primary valency that is there, that is the depending upon the oxidation state of the central metal atom, cobalt, which is +3, that is being satisfied by 1Cl, 2Cl, 3Cl. This kindly omit this. I think there's an error here. This should not be there. It is 1, 2, and 3. So the dashed lines are depicting the primary valencies, showing you these chloride ions are satisfying the primary valency of this cobalt. And the straight lines are giving you the secondary valency, which is showing the coordination number of this compound. Valency is being satisfied by 1Cl, 2Cl, and 3Cl. Okay.
But ma'am, here to all valency are secondary.
Yes, all right. That's all. So what do we mean by primary valency? Primary valency, I said, is it depicts the oxidation state of the metal, depends upon the oxidation state of the metal, right? So that initially in the first one, it had gone into the, what do you call it? In the outer sphere. It was in the outer sphere where you had CONH3 Cl3, right? So in that it was present as the ions which came out into the solution. But now these chloride ions, they have gone inside into the secondary sphere because only 3 of the ammonia is there. So this secondary valency is being satisfied by these by the primary valency itself. Primary valency is always equal to the number of the, what is the oxidation state of the central metal atom. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Is that clear? So the oxidation state of the central metal atom in all these complexes is +3. So that will be the primary valency. Secondary valency will be your whatever is inside the sphere. So 6 ammonia are there. So that is there. And if it is 4 ammonia and 2 Cl, so that will be. So 6 will be the secondary valency and 3 is the primary valency. Okay. Primary valency equal to the oxidation state of the central metal atom. So this is the different names for it. We have seen this. So number of chloride ions precipitated, we have just discussed that. In this, looking at this structure, it makes it easier for us to understand how many Cl ions are going to get precipitated out. If you look at this structure, it becomes, it's not easy for us to understand why sometimes 3 will get precipitated, sometimes only 2 is getting precipitated, sometimes only 1 is getting precipitated. So why it should be? If I look at this structure, it doesn't make it clear. When I look at it, I would feel that, yeah, here what will happen? The chloride ions will come out. So 3 chloride ions are going to be precipitated out. Here too, I think when I look at it in this way, it shows that the 3 chloride ions. So these 3 chloride ions should come out. So again, I should get 3 AgCl, but I don't get that. I get only 2 AgCl being formed. So look at this structure here again, 3 should have come, 3 should have come, but that is not happening. Why is it not happening? The primary valency is remaining, oxidation state of the cobalt is remaining as +3, but all 3 of them are not going out into the solution. Why is that happening? That is happening because in this one, all 3 are outside. They are outside the sphere. So the Cl3 is outside, and this whole thing is like one entity, CONH3 whole 6, which comes out as CONH3 whole 6 plus 3 and 3 of the Cl minus. So this 3Cl minus reacts with silver nitrate to give me silver chloride. So 3 of the Cl are coming out. In this, what is happening here, it doesn't make it clear, but here you can see that it has gone, one of the Cl has gone inside this entity, inside this component that is here, and it is only 5 ammonia here, and 1 Cl has gone inside. So secondary valency satisfied. 6 is the secondary valency here, and but of the three of the Cl, 1 Cl has gone inside. So only 2 of the Cl are available for being precipitated out with the silver nitrate, and 1 Cl has got inside. So this oxidation state still remains +3. You need to satisfy this +3, but of these oxidation state of these +3 negative ions, 1 has gone inside and only 2 are outside. So when I dissolve it in solution, only the 2 of the ions come out. Although cobalt's oxidation state still remains at +3, but only 2 come out. That's because this Cl has gone inside and cannot be removed out. It becomes fixed inside, and it is like a single unit that it is acting. It is not like acting like an ammonia molecule or a Cl molecule or a cobalt. It is acting like a single pentaamino chlorocobalt amine, chlorocobalt amine complex, and an ion, a cation rather. So one single entity of this cation. That is why, and this cannot be removed out. That is why only 2 of the Cl are available. Of the 3, only 2 are available. Hence, we say that only 2 of the Cl can be precipitated out. Here, what happened? 2 of them went into to satisfy the secondary valency because only 4 ammonia was there. So the 6 coordinated structure was formed, and it had only +1 charge on it. So that +1 charge is being satisfied by this Cl that gets attached. So only 1 Cl comes out with silver nitrate and gives you only 1. Here we find all 3 went inside. There's a neutral molecule. There's no increase in conductivity when I put them into solution. Here there were 3 ions, total ions present. So we had a total number of ions. Sorry, here the total number of ions are 4. 3 of the chloride ions and 1 cation. This one. Here you have 2 of the chloride ions and 1 this whole cation. So 3 ions are present. So there is a continuous decrease in the conductivity of the solution because the total number of ions are decreasing. As the ions increase, conductivity increases, ions decrease, conductivity decreases. When you come to the last one, because all have gone in to satisfy the secondary valency, so you say that this is a non-conducting electrolyte.
मैम इन सबका कलर भी याद रखना है.
हाँ, सबका अलग-अलग कलर्स होगा. The based upon the names that the names were given based upon the colors itself. Luteal, which is yellowish in color, Purpureo, purple in color, Precio, green in color, Violeo, violet in color. So all different colors these were the names originally given to them, and this was how he explained it. He was able to explain it on the basis of the 2 types of valencies. People were aware of this primary valency, that metals have, say, these metals, coordination compounds have, or transition metals rather, they have varying valencies. So cobalt has +2 and +3. This as iron has 2 and 4. So different valencies are there, but they were not aware of something called a secondary valency. And that too, why it should vary. Here the oxidation state remains the same, but yet there is a change in the ions that are being released in the solution. So these were the complexities that people could not understand when they were looking at. This was how we used to write those what do you call those salts that were there, the compounds which used to be there, and which were written in this way when they were added on as attachments in these. So one could write, if you write it like this, nothing was clear. This, they could understand that cobalt had +3 oxidation states, so 3 of the chloride ions are attached to it. But the concept that there's something called a secondary valency and a primary valency. Primary was easy to understand because all of them had 3. But here, why in all these complexes, not all the chloride ions were coming out? That was difficult for them to comprehend and to understand and to explain why, when they go in solution with silver nitrate, why should in one case I get 3 AgCl, in another I get only 2 AgCl, in another I get only 1 AgCl, in another I don't get any AgCl. How should and why should that happen? When cobalt has an oxidation state of +3, that chloride is there, but where is it disappearing? They could not understand that. What was happening? What was the reason that the chloride, which should have come out as all 3, is not coming out? This was not really, this was what was complexing them, which was making them not understand what is happening in this. So it was with the help of his primary and secondary, differentiated the 2 valencies. He said that there is something called primary valency, which people are aware of, which is depending upon the oxidation state of the metal. But there's something called a secondary valency, which is fixed, which for a certain complex, certain metal, it would be a fixed number. Say for a coordination number 6, cobalt forms a complex with a coordination number of 6. That means that it has fixed and it has got a definite structure. This 6 has a definite structure of an octahedron, in which all 6 points here are being occupied by ammonia. In this structure, 5 of these are occupied by ammonia. The 6th one is occupied by this chloride, and it becomes like a single unit now. It cannot be removed out. Hence, only the 2 Ca of the 3, only 2 are available for it to be removed out, because that is not gone inside the primary valency. In the secondary valency, it is still a part of the outer sphere. So it is staying out, it is not going inside. Hence, this only 2 of these are coming out. So these were a few things that were perplexing them. That was not what they were used to seeing before. If it was AgCl3, COCl3, NaCl, when they put it into solution, it went into Na plus and Cl minus. So there was one cation, one anion. That was simple to understand, that you have cationic and anionic species. As many cations coming out, that many anions coming out. But the concept that there's something which is keeping it bound and some are going out, that of secondary valency is what was his explanation, which took a long time for people to understand and to realize what he's trying to explain. And once it was explained, once they understood, then definitely he got a Nobel Prize for his work. Similarly, all the colligative properties, which depends upon the number of ions present in solution, we find if greater the number of ions present in solution, greater is the, say, one of the properties like conductivity. Conductivity is more here, less here, no conductivity here. So then it becomes easy to explain. That's it, conductivity, colligative properties. So this is what we have already seen. So these octahedral complexes, he said that theoretically there are 3 structures possible for this complex. These are planar, trigonal prism, and octahedral structure. So for these, the number of possible isomer is 3 for planar, 3 for trigonal, and 2 for octahedral structure. Say a complex like this. We have not yet focused on this. This is an interesting structure. Here, when they found the colligative property, there are 2 different compounds we found, which had COCl2 NH3 Cl. Okay, of this he found that there were 2 of them. Both of them they had different properties. This is what is also termed as cisplatin. This was one of the structures which is used for cancer cases in treatment of cancer, cisplatin. And there are two isomers, two same structures, same things are there, components are there, but only their arrangement or in space is different. That makes their property different. So he found that this particular complex of cobalt, the two isomers are possible for it. So two different colored compounds were available, and he said that since only two isomers of the compound could be isolated, Werner concluded that the geometrical arrangement of the coordinate group around the central atom is called, of this compound was octahedral. And so I will just see that structure. See, the COCl3 4NH3 green colored and COCl3 4NH3 violet colored. So you got two of these structures. Then he explained it on the basis of this is where the origin of isomerism came in inorganic chemistry. Isomerism in organic chemistry, very well known. People are aware of it. One has seen it, one has talked about it. But isomerism in inorganic chemistry, this was one of the very few studies that they started with, and he can explain the concept of what it was, because they are fixed in the environment, they are fixed in the space, the structures, these secondary valency components that are there in an octahedron, where their positioning is, that makes the difference. So the structure of the complexes were proposed based on a coordination sphere of 6. The 6 ligands can be ammonia molecules or chloride ions. Two different structures were proposed for the last two compounds. The trans compound has 2 chloride ions on opposite vertices of an octahedron, whereas the 2 chloride ions are adjacent to each other in the cis form, and in the trans form they are one here. So this is the structure. Cis form you have on the same face. They are. This is called the cis one. This is a parallelogram in which you have 3 of the ammonia on the 3 sides of the parallelogram. This is the 4th one, and the 2 apex or the axial positions are being taken up, one by chloride, one by ammonia, and they are on the same face. So it is a cis form. Here you have this is the base here, the parallelogram here. All 4 ammonia are on all the 4 sides of this parallelogram, and the top component, 1 chloride on top, 1 chloride below. This is the trans structure. So this is how he explained that is why their structures are different. This is how it looks, a different ball and diagram to explain this, the Presio and the Vailio compound. This is just a trivia. Hexol is the name of for various salts of a coordination complex that has historical significance. The salts were the first synthetic non-carbon containing chiral compounds. Chiral compounds are those which have optical activity in them. So the presence of chirality was found out first in this compound, and hexol. It is the sulfate salt, has the formula. You have got ammonia, you have OH, you have cobalt, you have sulfate in it. So this is the structure. Not necessary. You don't have to remember it. Just introducing the term optical, the terms isomerism and chirality, which you have already familiar in your organic chemistry. In inorganic, it was not there. This was one of the few that has been seen. Then you have some square planar. We saw octahedral examples, some square planar and tetrahedral compounds. Werner also studied the geometry of complexes in which the coordination number of the central metal ion is 4. And he proposed that there are 2 possible structures. Say you took this complex, PTCl2 and H3 This is one complex again. When in this complex, the coordination number is 2 + 2, 4. So Werner found that it existed in 2 isomeric forms, cis and trans. This shows that all the 4 ligands lie in the same plane. Therefore, the structure should be a square planar rather than the tetrahedral structure. So this is a square planar structure for a cis. If it is both on the opposite sides of it, this is a trans structure, both facing each other. It is a cis structure, and it is this cisplatin. This is called cisplatin, which is used in the cancer treatment. This is the structure of cisplatin. You can look up this a little bit about what we have just covered from this basic principles of chemical science in units of MIT, the open courseware of MIT. I've given the link here. You can go to it and check it. So these are a few links that you can see, which talks about the transition metals. It will be a review or recap of the transition metals, their properties, their oxidation reduction reactions. There are 5-6 lectures in this OCW, which talks about transition metals, their different, how do you name them, nomenclature, the different ligands, the different structures, the shapes, and then the different properties of these compounds. There's another book too, so you can just, whenever you're free. And in the next class, we will begin with the valency bond theory. Okay. Any doubts, any queries? If not, you can leave then. We will, in the next class, we'll do the valency bond theory and continue